I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on calculus. We'll talk about differentiation. Here we have four examples. We'll find the gradient of a curve using differentiation. The formula which we are going to use is if we are given a function f of x as equal to k times x to the power of n, in that case, the derivative of the function or the gradient of the function written as f prime x or f dash x is going to be constant k times n times x to the power of n minus 1. So basically this is also called the power rule, right? So we are going to use the power rule to find the gradient at any given point on the curve. So based on this, I have selected four excellent examples which you can find in test papers. So let's go through these examples. Question number 1. Determine the points on the curve y equals to x cubed plus 6x squared minus 10 where the gradient is 0. Now when we say gradient is 0 means the tangent is horizontal, right? So that means tangent is horizontal. So that interprets as a turning point, right? Okay. So the question here is, determine the points on the curve, this is a cubic function, where the gradient is 0. So this question could be asked in many different ways, where tangent is horizontal, or find the turning points on this particular curve, correct? Question number 2. The function f of x equals to ax squared plus bx plus 4, where a and b are real numbers, goes through the point 2, 6 with gradient 5. Find the value of a and b, right? So that's a quadratic equation. We need to find what is a and what is b. So there are two unknowns. So I think you can guess there are two equations also. So the two equations here are, one is at f of 2, the value of the function is 6. This is one. Second, we are also saying that the gradient is 5. That means the derivative at 2 for the given function is equal to 5. So that gives you two different equations which can help you to find the value of a and b, right? Question number 3 here is, find the points on this curve where the slope of the tangent is perpendicular to y equals to 3 minus 4x. So that means we are looking for where the gradient is equal to negative reciprocal or 1 over 4. Is it okay? So you have to find those points. Question number 4 here is, the curve has an equation y equals to k over x. Find the value of k if the gradient of the curve at x equals to 3 is minus 3. Correct? So these are four questions for you. I would like you to pause the video, answer these questions, and then look into my suggestions. Now I will provide you the solutions. Here is my email. Just in case you need any additional help, you can always contact me on this email, right? So let's move on and see the solutions of these questions one by one. The very first one is, determine the points on the given curve where gradient is 0. So equation is y equals to x cubed plus 6x squared minus 10. So what we'll do now is that we will differentiate with respect to x, right? So that means we get dy over dx. Now we are going to apply the power rule, correct? So as I mentioned earlier, power rule is that if I am given y equals to k times x to the power of n, then the derivative, which is dy dx, is k times n times x to the power of n minus 1. So here, constant is 1. 3 times x times 3 minus 1 is 2. Plus 6 times 2, so I am straight away writing 12x. And for a constant, it is going to be 0. Perfect. Now it says, determine the points on this curve where the gradient is 0. Now what does that mean? If we say gradient is 0, that means that the derivative or slope of the tangent line is 0. That means this derivative is 0. And therefore, because this is given to us, that gradient is 0, we need to find the points. So let's equate dy dx as 0. So we get 0 equals to 3x squared plus 12x. Now if I factor 3x, I get x plus 4, right? So this is 0 means x equals to 0 and x equals to minus 4. So we get two values of x for which the gradient is 0, right? Now you should not miss out on this. We need the points on the curve. When we say points, you need to find x and y, both values, correct? So let's find the y value when x is 0. So if I substitute 0 here, I get y equals to 0 plus 0 minus 10. So y value is minus 10. So one of the points here is 0 minus 10, correct? Now for x equals to minus 4, we get y equals to minus 4 cube plus 6 times minus 4 squared minus 10. You might need calculator to solve this. 64 is the cube of 4, so minus 64. Now this is 4 square is 16, right? So 16 times 6 you can do on the side. 6, 6, 36, 6, 1, 6 and 3, 9. So it is 96, right? So you write plus 96 minus 10. Is it okay? So that becomes your value should be 96 minus 74, right? So that gives you 22. So the value at 0 was 10, minus 10, but at minus 4, the value is 22. Right? So we get our answer. So our points are, you have to write coordinate points. That is kind of important to understand in the given equation. So the value of x minus 4, y 22. Right? So I like you to do the calculations using calculator and also check the answers. Correct? Now let's take up the next question, which is question number 2. The function f of x equals to x squared plus bx plus 4, where a and b are real numbers, goes through the point 2 and 6 with gradient 5. Find the value of a and b. Okay, so this time we are given gradient of 5. The function is equals to ax squared plus bx plus 4. So the gradient is the derivative, correct? Applying the power rules, we get 2 times the constant ax plus b, and that is 0, right? Now, when it says that the function where a and b are real numbers goes through this point, that means the point 2, 6 is on the curve. That means f of 2 should be 6, right? So let's substitute 2 here. We get a times 2 squared plus b times 2 plus 4. The value of this function at 2 is 6. That's what they're trying to say when they say 0.26, correct? So that gives you 4a plus 2b plus 4. So one of the equations will be, 4, right? So bringing 4 here, we get 6 minus 4 equals to 4a plus 2b, which is 2 equals to 4a plus 2b. We can divide by 2, so we get 1 equals to 2a plus b, right? We'll call this as our equation number 1. Is that clear? So we use the point itself to find one of the equations. Now, we can use the derivative to find the second equation. We are given the gradient. Gradient is 5. So we'll substitute this value as 5. So we get 5 equals to, at which point? At 2, right? So let's write like this. At 2, the gradient is 5. Does it make sense to you? So now we'll substitute x as 2. So we get 2a times 2 plus b, which is 4a plus b, right? So we get 5 equals to 4a plus b. We'll call this as our equation number 2. Correct? So we have now 2 equations and 2 unknowns. How do we find the equation? Using these two, we can just do equation 2 take away equation 1. So if I do that, what do I get? 5 minus 1 is 4, right? 4a minus 2a is 2a. And b minus b is 0. So we get the value of a as 4 over 2. So the value of a is 2. Now since we know that the value of a is 2, so we got this as a equals to 2, right? So we are going to use this value. We'll call this as equation 3 now. Substitute it here. So we get 1 equals to 2 times 2 plus b, right? So which is 1 minus 4 equals to b, or negative 3, right? So we get the value of b as negative 3. Perfect. And now we can write down our answer. So our answer here is that a equals to 2, b equals to negative 3. That means f of x is what? Is 2x squared minus 3x plus 4, correct? For the given situation. Is that clear to you? So that is how we are going to solve these questions. I hope you find them useful. So let's move on and take the next question after a small break. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the break. That was some wildlife near the city of Toronto, right here in Canada. Now let's continue with our questions. Here is question number 3. Find the points on the curve y equals to 2x minus 1 over x, where the slope of the tangent is perpendicular to line y equals to 3 minus 4x. So slope means gradient. So let's work on the line given to us. We are saying y equals to 3 minus 4x. So slope of this line is what? Slope of this line is minus 4. So what would be the slope of perpendicular line? Well, slope of perpendicular line, let me write like this, will be negative reciprocal, or 1 over 4, correct? So from one of these conditions which are given to us, where slope of the tangent line is perpendicular to y equals to this. So we want slope of 1 over 4, correct? What is the function given to us? We are given y equals to 2x minus 1 over x. We have to find points on this curve which have tangent with a slope of 1 over 4, or gradient with a slope of positive 1 over 4. Now, if you look at this function, you can actually write this as 2x over x minus 1 over x, correct? Now, I think it becomes easier to find the derivative. So we get 2 minus 1 over x, correct? Now we can apply the power rule. So we get dy dx, the derivative of this function, that is 0, minus the derivative of this will be treat this as 1 over x as x to the power of minus 1, correct? So the derivative will be minus 1 times x to the power of minus 2. Do you see that? Or I could write this derivative as, now minus minus becomes positive 1 over x square. Is that clear to you? Well, some of you can straight away write the same answer. But to begin with, since this is our very initial video on this topic, these steps help us, right? So we get the gradient as 1 over x square. Now, we need to find the points. So we already have the gradient, and that should be equal to 1 over 4, correct? So from these two equations, what do you say? 1 and 2, they should be same, right? So this is also gradient. This is what dy dx should be, right? So equating these two, we get that dy dx should have been 1 over 4, and we get this as 1 over x square. So that gives you that x square is basically 4, or x is equals to square root of 4 with plus and minus. So it is plus and minus 2. You get the idea. So we get two values of x, correct? It could be plus 2 or it could be minus 2. Now for both these values, let's find the y value. Since again, we need to find the points on the curve. So that's a very critical statement. Points means x and y, both coordinates we need to find, correct? So let's substitute x equals to plus 2 and minus 2 and find the value. Is it clear to you? Okay. So for x equals to plus 2, we get y equals to, we'll substitute here, 2 times 2 minus 1 over 2, which is 4 minus 1, right? 4 minus 1 is 3. We get 3 over 2. So that is 1 point, which we'll say as 2, 3 over 2. Correct? That is 1 point. Let's find the other point. X equals to minus 2. So y equals to 2 times minus 2 minus 1 over 2. That is minus 5 over 2. So the second point for us will be minus 2 minus 5 over 2. Clear? So these are our 2 points. Correct? So let me write down the answer here. So answer is that the points are 2, 3 over 2 and minus 2 minus 5 over 2. Is that clear? Perfect. Now let's move on and take the last question. So I hope you are getting the complete concept about gradient, slope, tangents, right? So this question number 4 is a curve has an equation y equals to k over x. Find the value of k if the gradient of the curve at x equals to 3 is minus 3. Now I'd like you to pause the video, answer this question, and then look into my suggestions. Correct? So we are given the equation y equals to k over x. We need to find what k is. What are we given? We are given that the gradient of the function at x equals to 3 is minus 3. So let me show you how to write this. Gradient means dy by dx at, we could write like this, at x equals to 3 is equal to minus 3. This is given to us, right? And that is the function. We need to find what is k. Okay. So what is the gradient? Let's differentiate with respect to x. So we write dy dx equals to. So that gives you minus k over x square, right? Since this is x to the power of minus 1, so negative 1 times minus 1 gives you minus 2. It comes in the denominator. Clear? Now, when we are given this particular condition, right, which is this, let's call this as equation 1 and this as equation 2. If I sub 1 in 2, what do I get? Well, let's see that. So dy by dx at x equals to 3, let me write down. Dy by dx at x equals to 3 is equal to minus 3. But we are saying it is minus k over x square. So if I substitute 3 here for x, what do I get? I get that should be equal to minus k over 3 square, right? So that is minus k over 9. So we have minus 3 equals to minus k over 9, correct? So what we get here as minus 3 equals to minus k over 9, correct? Now, we can cross multiply and get the value of k. So that gives you k as 27, correct? Which is 3 times 9. Is it okay? Minus minus cancels, correct? So we have our answer, and that is k equals to 27. Is that clear to you? So that is how we are going to find this particular value. So I hope the concept is absolutely clear. These were 4 very important questions which, with simple power rule, gives you an insight to the functions, the gradients, the tangents and the normals. I hope you appreciate and understand the concept. Feel free to write your comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.